there are, first off, hello everybody. Good afternoon everybody. Good afternoon everybody. So there are a few things that immediately come to my mind. I am just returning as of this morning from a 7-day historically black college and university tour where I got to see multiple black colleges and institutions that were started by young people not having the access to education to white institutions. And so instead of deriving up that energy to do something negative, they push forward, organize to be able to create institutions of education in order to allow multiple generations after them to be able to educate themselves. Y'all didn't hear me.
Yes, sir.
What I said was that these young people who were rejected away from education from institutions were angry. Very angry, similar to the individuals who are disproportionately receiving resources here in Dayton, Ohio, angry, right? And instead of going to violence with each other, they decided to organize in order to start educational institutions in order to create generational education for those that came behind them, right? And so what I came today to say is that I empathize with the individuals who are angry in this city. They deserve to be angry. And if I did not have anything in my neighborhood, if I didn't have a resource to be proud of, if I didn't have a neighborhood to be able to gloat about, I'd be angry too. And so one of the things that I read this weekend, a very simple quote by Martin Luther King, and I'm not going to idolize him because he's human and he's just like me and you, right? But one of the things that he said that allowed me to be able to push through these last 7 days is that he said, peace is not just the absence of tension, right? But it is the presence of justice. Peace is not just the absence of tension, right? Because we know that conflict is going to happen, right? And we're going to have to in a very healthy manner, get through what those conflicts are, right? We're not all going to agree. We're all out here for the same purpose, and we still probably have some difference of opinions on some things, and that's perfectly fine. But peace is not just the absence of tension, it is the presence of justice. And that is what we are all out here for this very afternoon, is to figure out a way to get justice, not only for us, but for everybody who's out there who has the right to be angry due to the lack of resources around his neighborhood. And every one of us has the right to work together with each other in order to provide some justice for these individuals so that they can figure out a way to channel that energy that they're having towards each other to get to these educational institutions in order for them to continue generational education back to back to back, so that when they're somebody's grandfather, they can say, hey, I was angry just like you, but this is what I did to channel my anger in a very healthy way. And so I thank Chris so much for allowing me to come out here today. This isn't about somebody being great. I'm human, I'm flawed, there are things that are wrong with me, there are things that I'm going to make mistakes on today. However, what I am practicing is this idea of cultural humility, which is this idea that I am never 100% correct about anything and always have some more to learn. I always have some more to learn, right? We all always have some more to learn. So I want to humanize these individuals who are out here who are doing nothing but manifesting the very violence that they deal with every day. However, I want to speak to them today and say that that is not the only way. It's not the only way. We know how to channel that very same energy to get you to go into these educational institutions, organized so that we will have generational wealth for us a long time to come. So today, I came here to commit myself to figuring out ways that I will be able to support this community and funneling individuals to these educational institutions for them to come back and to tell these very individuals who have the right to be angry at their current situation that there is a better way. And Chris, you are displaying that way. So thank you so much, brother. I look forward to your future leadership.
Like Chris said, it is so very important just to give back to your community. Just before I bring up Brother Shackelford, real quick, I would like to say I had an opportunity to go to Mississippi Valley State for basketball on scholarship. I'm currently at Central State University. The only reason why I wanted to change because I kind of felt like I was settling with my ability, and I feel like being on Division I will help me get to where I want to get to my goals personally. But I want you guys to understand how important this is for me. Number one, I'm not even from Dayton, Ohio. I grew up in Dayton, Ohio my whole entire life. Anybody that knows me personally, I'm from Boston, Massachusetts. I love Boston. I'm upset that the Bruins lost. Y'all probably don't even know who the Bruins are, but I'm upset. But after the tornado hit and the KKK rally came down here, I said, you know what? I can't leave. I can't leave. There's so much more work that I have to do here. And me looking back at it, maybe about a year and a half ago, I said, you know what? I've done this so much for Dayton Ohio. It's time for me to go. It's time for me to go. There's nothing else here for me to do. But I look at this as not only a challenge, but almost a blessing in disguise that I can help impact our community and help this next young brother that's going to come out, that brother Shaka Ford is going to introduce for us, sir.
Yes, sir.
Y'all should be giving up for these young people. I'm on something a little bit different when the millennials around. Just real quick, I want to introduce a young man. Can we like hug the block? You know, that's called hug the block. Just hug somebody next to you and tell them you love them. You love them and ain't nothing they can do about it. I love you and ain't nothing you can do about it. I ain't scared of you. I love you, ain't nothing you can do about it. Ain't nothing you can do about it. Let me say this. Love you. Love you. See, for those who don't understand that love, it's impossible to give love without receiving love. It's impossible to give love, they still love me, without receiving love. And so one of the things that I always say is the 6 most important words. And I've probably been doing this for about 30 years. 6 most important words. I am sorry, please forgive me. The 5 most important words. We can work this out. The 4 most important words. The 4 most important words is we can work this out. The 5 most important words. No, 5 most important words is we can work this out. The 4 most important words is I will help you. Progression. The 3 most important words is I love you. Alright? The 2 most important words is thank you. Look at somebody and say thank you. Thank you. The least most important word is me. It's me. Ain't about me, it's about the community. And the most important word is what? We. Everybody say we. We. So always remember the 6 most important words. Just real quick. These my signs I've been doing for 20 years. Don't shoot, we want to grow up. They asked a 6-year-old man, what do you want to do? He said, I want to grow up. See, my job is to keep them alive and free, right? And friends will not lead you to danger. Right here, I've been doing this about 15 years. I don't do that RIP, y'all. I do LIP. RIP means rest in peace. A 17-year-old that kills a 19-year-old, and we tell the 19-year-old to rest in peace. We don't want to rest in peace. We want to live in peace. When you live in peace, you live in prayer. You live in power. You live in potential. You live in your promise. You live in your pain, and you live in your plan. So they go RIP, RIP. No, we say LIP, LIP, LIP. LIP is a lifestyle. Rest in peace, RIP is a death style. LIP means you die of natural causes. Rest in peace means you got unnatural causes. You're 19 and you got killed. You're a college student, the Old Dominion playing football, who I had the rights of passing for 4 years. I just left his funeral. He was 18 years old. So we got to get away from this RIP. And we need to start LIP. Everybody say LIP. Everybody say LIP. Okay, I like the young people speaking, so I don't be trying to do time with the young people. I just think their voice is so real. This is Chaz. He's a part of, we call it the men of color, or the male of color. I don't know, there's a whole lot of names going on. But we did have an opportunity to to meet with President Obama. He shined in front of like 300 other young men all across the country. So we're doing some creative stuff coming with the Culture Festival. It's the people I'm going to be calling that I see spoke today to help us. We're going to do something real major for black boys that morning, the Dayton African American Culture Festival at Sinclair. And so this is one of the young men. I had him write some passages for 4 years. He was excellent then. And I put in his head, you have a responsibility. I owe you, Mr. Shack. You don't owe Mr. Shack nothing. You owe this community. You have a responsibility to give 125%. That's how you pay Mr. Shack back. And that's what this young man is doing.
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Chaz Amos. I was originally born in Cincinnati. I moved to Dayton, Ohio in 2008, and I've been living here ever since. I'll only be a few minutes, but I just want to talk about some of the violence that's going on in our community, especially with our generation. One of the biggest problems I feel that our generation has is conflict resolution. We don't know how to resolve conflict. Some of us are killing each other over shoes, stepping in line in front of each other. We need to have mentors who can go out into the community and help a young person. Let them know that they have someone to talk to. Let them know that they are somebody. Let them know that there are other ways to deal with a problem than shooting someone or fighting someone. So I have a little piece that I just wrote up this morning, how I feel, and it's called Where Mankind is Mistaken. Many people spend their time accusing others of starting war. They think that in this way, they are contributing to peace. Some blame the rich, others say that the fault lies with rulers or politicians. Believers accuse those who are not of their own particular faith. Look around. You will see that everyone thinks that if one could just get rid of something or someone else, peace will reign the world. And it is precisely here that everyone is mistaken. Even if mankind managed to get rid of all the weapons and all the armies, the very next day people will find other means of exterminating each other. Peace is something that exists within us. It is an inner state, an inner attitude, and it cannot be established in the world simply by getting rid of externals. When I first moved here, I grew up in Westwood, 400 block of Leland Avenue. I had a group of friends, and I had a friend by the name of DeAndre Choice. It was around the first or second week of January 2014. Me and my friends were shoveling snow on the block, making money, and he walked past us and he said, "I'm glad that y'all are out here shoveling snow because y'all could be out here doing something else." And I said, "We appreciate it. You should come help us sometime." That next week, he was found dead in an alley a few streets over from where I stayed at. And that was the first time that I was exposed to a situation like that. So from there, at a young age, I was probably about 9 or 10, I made it my personal devotion to give back to kids who are younger than me, to show them that there are other people that you can be around except, drug dealers and people who you think are cool. Fast money might be cool, but it's not necessarily the safest way to make money. And I want to take a quote that I heard Mr. Shack say maybe about 5 or 6 years ago. Resting in peace is a death style. Living in peace is a lifestyle. So as long as we live in peace and learn how to help each other, we will, like Chris and Fred said, we can't stop all the violence, but we can condense it by any means. That could be mentoring, just talking to someone, asking how their day is going, or just letting them know that they are somebody. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Appreciate that from Chaz. I told him I wasn't going to do this, but I do want him to come out. If my father could just come up and say either just some spiritual words or some guidance. For those who don't know who my father is, his name is Christopher Benjamin I. He did grow up in Roxbury, Massachusetts, not too far from Boston. So he grew up in the hood, but he didn't allow that to be who he was, and was blessed to find my mother. So I got to make sure somebody got that on line. He was blessed to find my mother. All right. And I learned so much from him. And I just want him to just come up and just say a couple of words on how you don't have to allow your environment to be who you are.
You all forgive my presence. I like to always present myself in a way that is always going to represent, first of all, God himself. I want us to honestly look within ourselves. Who are we? Who are we? When I look at another black man, do I feel intimidated by who he is? And until we change within ourselves, if we don't value who we are, no one else will take value of our culture. And I believe that if we're going to make a transformation in the hearts of our culture, as well as this nation, it begins within our thinking process. If we don't change our thinking process, we'll never change the behaviors.
Come on.
I believe what the Bible teaches. I am a Bible man before anything else. And when you understand what you represent and who you are as a kingdom man, not just as a black man, but a kingdom man. And when I put more emphasis on my kingdom, watch God make a change in my culture. And I look at my sisters, and I look at our men, and I'm saying, why do I fear you? Why do you fear me? It begins with that if I hate myself, and if I don't value who I am as an individual, conflict revolution will not resolve my problem until I come in a likeness of my thinking. When a man thinketh in his heart, so is he.
So is he.
For the second we're talking about in terms of IEB, peace. The word peace in the original language also means to be of a sober mind, even in times of trouble. The reason why I believe in my community, the reason why I supported my son, the reason why that I am a proud black man who is a child of God is because I was taught very early in my life how to take value within myself. That begins with our education. Instead of talking at each other, we have to learn to talk to each other. And when we talk to each other, that cultivates a transformative mindset to say, instead of me looking down at my man, instead of me looking down at this person, when I lift them up. And I want this community here, we have to change the atmosphere.
That's right. That's right.
When we change the atmosphere, you change the disposition of a man. So I hope and I pray that I'm committed to the community. Because my religion is not my identity. It's my relationship with God is who I am. And so when we understand that, it's no matter who's here, it's the quality that is here. May God bless you all.
Appreciate that message. And like you said, somebody, a lot of us come from broken homes, but somebody has to break that curse.
That's right.
Somebody has to break that curse. And what my dad actually did mention, which is very interesting, for those who don't know, he didn't grow up with his dad. My dad's dad left him when he was 3 years old. The only memory he has of him is him and his other two brothers giving him 75 cents. Growing up in the projects of Boston, Massachusetts, y'all can do your history on that. But he didn't allow that to not take care of his responsibility as growing up and being a man. And he just found out, I think this past year, that his father passed away. Wow. And it was so interesting because when I got the phone call, I was at work, and they were like, hey, my sister called and was like, Daddy's dad died. I don't know anything about him. My dad didn't allow that to affect him, but he stood strong and did what he had to do to support his family. So I'm gonna bring Fred back up to the stage because I want him to do the honors of bringing up our next guest.
I'm not gonna take too long, but it is important. Just a few months ago, maybe about a year ago, Daisha Demings really rose to the surface here in Dayton, Ohio. And I'll tell you, Daisha, she had a really small intention, which was just to figure out ways to organize young black professionals, and that word professionals is That is a subjective word, right? Individuals who identify as a professional. She wanted to organize these young black people here in the city of Dayton who are saying things like there's nothing to do, right? I'm not exactly sure that I want to stay here. I'm not exactly sure that I want to raise a family here. You know what's funny? All the people that we're talking about who's committing violence are saying those very same things, right? So this isn't about class, this isn't about access, this is about the spaces in which you surround yourself in. So same narrative, these individuals who are in these communities, in these young black professionals who have had an opportunity to go off to college, right? But Dage, who's a historically black college and university graduate, decided to rise to the surface and say, I'm not just going to complain about not having something to do, I'm going to figure out a way to organize these folks. The Dayton Young Black Professionals is a new organization that is still in formation. But what I think that is most important about it is that it is woman-led, right? And it is black male supported, right? My right-hand man is a strong black woman, right? So this is centered in womanism, right? We are partnering to figure out the best way for our community to thrive. And I find it a pleasure to sit on the side of Dave Stemmings and support her in whatever endeavors that she wants to do. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I think it's most important to bring her up here and just allow her to speak a little bit to the way in which the violence has impacted her, and then what is the vision for Dayton Young Black Professionals as it pertains to our way to get involved to start this. So, ladies and gentlemen, please give a round of applause for my sister, Dave Stemmings.
Alright, so for those of you that know me, like he said, my name is Dayton Ohio, and I like the interaction, so y'all gotta rock with me, okay? So when I say what's the deal, y'all say what's the deal back to me. What's the deal?
What's the deal?
Alright, good to go. Fred pretty much said everything, but as far as the young black professionals go, it's not about necessarily being professionals. It's to help each other get there. A lot of us don't, we don't know what we don't know. If we're not there to teach each other and help each other with no intention of needing anything or, oh, I do this for you, you do this for me, like, we'll be amazing. Thank you, Shaq. I had Shaq for rites of passage when I was in the 4th and 5th grade. 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th grade. And he said the same thing. Like, I was like, man, I never gonna forget about you. He's like, good, don't forget about your city. Don't forget about your community. And look at what I'm doing. As far as the violence and stuff goes, people need to know that they are important. We see that Dayton Young Black Professionals does a lot of things with kids. We have an after-school program. We have a free summer camp. And they're all located in areas where people do not want to have after-school programs and camps. It's in Dayton. I was raised in DeSoto Bass, but that didn't stop me from doing the things that I needed to do or get the places that I needed to go. Like you said, I am a senior state and Wilberforce graduate. I didn't have to be the first person in my family to go to college. I was the first. I didn't even know. I was just like, man, I gotta hurry up and do something. I ain't trying to live with my mama. And it worked out, and now doing stuff for Central and Wilberforce, paying back to make sure we just have to keep the cycle going. We can't forget about it. Everybody doesn't have a motivator. Everybody doesn't have a relationship with somebody that's going to change their life, but that can be you. Like, it's simple. Show love. That's literally all God wants us to do, is just give love to everybody. Everything be rooted in love, and that will change the atmosphere, literally. We have to give love to those that don't know. Man, we have to teach people without chastising. So people are being disrespectful at the store, cussing in front of my grandma. Hey, yo, chill out. You don't talk like that in front of older women. Oh, my bad, I don't even know nothing about it. Nobody told them. Nobody told them to say please and thank you. Nobody told them not to do certain things or not to get into certain things, and there's other ways to make things happen. So as long as we're transparent and everything that we do is rooted out of love, we can literally change anything. It just takes all of us together to do it. We can't do it individually. EYBP can't do it. Of course, they're not going to be able to cross the water. I don't even know what to say. It's up to us. It's up to the Black Panthers. It's up to the Nation of Islam. It's up to all of these different organizations to come together and take back our community, because it starts with us and it finishes with us as well. Nobody's worried about us the way that we're worried about us. So that was really all I had to say. I definitely had to come out. I'm supposed to be in Cincinnati in like an hour, but I had to come see y'all to show some love, just to show that I'm behind this 100%. So, shout out to y'all for getting this together. any way that we can continue to be a part and do the things that we need to do from a millennial standpoint as far as getting us together and organizing. Fred is probably the best organizer ever. Like, just because
He's good.
He's
real good.
He got 250 people to come out to something.
Yeah, Fred was
Like, have y'all heard of that? No. You know what I'm saying? So we gotta stick together. People like Chris, people like Fred, people like Janae. Where'd you go? Like, we all gotta stick together. Tristina, for sure. What's the deal? I didn't see you. Yeah, but it takes a community. It takes all of us. It really takes a village. Like, when I was younger, I'm like, why did he say that village stuff? Like, what do that mean? Like, we ain't in Africa. That's what I thought. But as I got older and as I started dealing with kids, like, it doesn't just take one person. Like, one person can affect somebody in some way, but I can affect you with your education, but they can affect you with your social skills. They can affect you with your mannerisms. You know what I mean? Like, it takes all of us. So let's just do whatever we need to do to make this happen. My grandma's here, my mom's here, I'm not going anywhere. Y'all family probably the same. I know your daughter, by the way, you know what I mean? So it's a small world. Let's just do what we gotta do to make whatever happen we need to happen. Thank y'all.
Once again, appreciate her coming out and speaking. Like she said, she do have to shoot out to Cincinnati really fast. I'm gonna have Mr. Donald come up and bring up our next group that's coming up to speak. Y'all know Donald. Y'all know Donald. Appreciate Donald very much. I believe I met Donald for the first time when I was at my rally. And just give a round of applause on everybody that is, I'm not gonna say your age, but up there. Because you guys really looked out for me personally. I didn't know the backlash and the things I had to look out for in terms of people, you know, not wanting to help promote the youth, but you guys have always been around to help me, so I really do appreciate that.
All right, thank my brother, y'all. Thank my brother. Black power. Black power. That's what we're talking about, right? We're talking about black power. And that ain't hating on nobody else, right? That's just uplifting ourselves, right? And we want to thank everybody for coming out today. We want this to be a movement, okay? The Klan rally, the tornado relief, you know, people is galvanizing all over Dayton. And we got something new started, right? And we on purpose hooked up with these young people because we're tired. I'm tired. You tired, Jack?
Yeah, I'm tired.
I'm real out, man. So, anyway, we're going to have a youth summit in about 2 weeks. And we're putting that together right now. So we want everybody to get in the right mindset for that. And we want to designate this summer Freedom Summer. All right?
That's good.
Freedom from violence. So y'all write that down. This is Freedom Summer. All right? And we want to do everything we can to make sure that we stop the killing of each other in Dayton. So right now I'm going to introduce one of my Black Panther sisters. Beautiful black sister. I grew up with her from little kids. And she's going to tell you a little bit of something about what the Black Panthers is doing in Dayton. Also, she had 2 sons that were killed. Both of her sons were killed on the same day. And so she got an interesting story. So she coming with the other Panthers. They look good, don't they, y'all? Hey, and the sisters always show up. You know what I'm saying?
You can count on the sisters.
But without further from me, Queen X.
I just want to go over some of the things that the new Dayton Black Panther Party is doing. We're putting together a group called the Vanguards of Dayton, Ohio. Of course, myself, I'll be the director, Queen X. The co-director is Secretary Tamika Royal. And so, yeah. And then our chairman, Mr. Donald Dominic. And I want to tell you a little bit about the Vanguards of Dayton. The Vanguards of Dayton, Ohio, consists of various groups, such as drill team, dance, drum corps, poetry, instruments, African culture dance, positive rap groups or individuals, volunteers and instructors, team assistants, team leaders, drum corps directors or instructors, first aid administrators, and more. We are currently accepting participants to join our youth and community organization. both males and females. We ask that you please join us in our mission in putting unity back into our communities. Our mission is to empower and encourage our youth to participate, compete, and face new challenges with a positive attitude while having fun and meeting and making new friends, sharing ideas as well as experiences. The Vanguards of Dayton, Ohio hopes that these programs will be an incentive for our motivation for our youth to promote our youth enrollment and attendance in school. Also, to be exciting and a fulfilling outlet. To instill in our youth and communities positive reinforcements in opposition to violence and drug abuse and prevention. And also to encourage and inspire all members to remain positively active throughout the city of Dayton and surrounding communities. The Vanguards of Dayton, Ohio is in need of participants, donations, volunteers, instructors, but most importantly, lack community pride. If you or someone you know may be interested, please go to the designated sign-up area located right over there at the table, okay, and fill out your application. We will notify you as soon as possible for the time and location and the date of your first practice and introductions to your division leaders. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me, Queen X, or our Secretary, Tamika Royal, or our Chairman, Mr. Donald Dominic. We look forward to working with you to be recognized as the best elite performance teams in the nation. But keep in mind that discipline, respect, and sportsmanship is not an option, but a requirement. We look forward to working with each and every one of you here today. And to those who did not make it out today, please spread the word that we will continue to take applications for new members. Okay, and this is an all year round event. It's an all year round performance group. They call this a Gym City. So how about let's put some polish on it and let it shine.
Let it shine.
Repeat after me. Vanguards of Dayton, Ohio.
Vanguards of Dayton, Ohio.
Black pride.
Black pride.
Black pride.
Black pride.
One love.
One love.
Okay. Anyway, this right here is a point, as Donald said to you guys, I lost two sons. November be 9 years ago on the same day to corruption and gun violence. Okay, and I have wrote this poem way before this happened to my sons. But I just wanted to share it with you guys. I happen to run across it and I like to read it because we're going out here, we really need you guys, okay? And I don't think you know how much you guys mean to us. So, it goes, black men, what are you thinking? You're leaving us all alone. Your mothers and fathers, siblings and children are patiently waiting at home. We pray for you. We say to you, stop all the violence now. If we have to bury another one of you, your numbers will continue to go down. Stop shooting and beating and killing one another because of a push or a shove. A deal gone bad or a lie being told is not worth the life you have. Stay conscious and thinking with every choice you make. You're dying under 25. Treasure life more in all that it offers and try to stay alive. When you're gone, think of what will be missed. A fine man gone wrong and bad. It's all about the choices you make if your ending is happy or sad. Think more of yourself and say to your mind that things have got to change. If not, you'll be next and your funeral will be being arranged. Don't get caught up with the hype of the world. It will only bring you down. No money, no friends, or your reputation will have the patience to stick around. So stop the violence now and break those psychological chains. No more robberies or shootings or violence, and definitely those killing sprees. And if you don't want to do it for our Black cultural family tree, please do it for the one you call self, the one that you call me. Thank you.
Look, I'm very down, just stay up here just for a minute, Clark. Come on. You know, I hate to have to beat down, but he told me no. But I want to tell y'all something about Chantel. We used to do the parks, how many years ago? Don't tell me, I don't want to tell you. We used to do the parks. The city would not support me. Would they support me?
No.
Did I care?
No.
We did 7 parks, and she done a drill team at every park. Every park we had over 100 kids. Dr. Fox is there as a witness. We worked with over 700 kids every summer for 6 years, and she was my director. Come on, y'all. Look, and they didn't give us a dime, so quit all that crying and you either do or do not. There is no try. They didn't give us a dime. We hit the doors every Friday. Every Friday, I took 20 street soldiers, they were called BBI at that time, and we would knock on the doors, and she ended up working totally with over 1,000 young people for 7 years, so I got much love for her. So y'all give it up for her. Here you go, Don.
It's funny what God can do. You know, this individual said he didn't even know we had this going on. I don't know, he ain't been following my social media page, but we go to the same church. So I'm gonna bring up this next person, Sir. I call him Sir Matthew. His father is head minister at 1306 Salem Avenue, Bold Believers Church of Christ. Be there for the first time for a whole year in June. The reason why we moved is because we wanted to reach out into the community. So I'm going to bring Matthew. I believe he has a spoken word for us. So could y'all please give him a round of applause.
Well, I do follow. I didn't know this was going on. I just didn't know he was hosting. So yeah, he got me. You know, but it's all good, man. Like I'm proud to see. You know what I'm saying? Out here in the community. I wrote this poem. It was based on a song called Legendary. And I think that's something that we as a community see, and I don't know, so it can be used one way or another. You got Martin Luther King that's legendary, or you got Frank Williams that's legendary, you know what I'm saying? So it goes either way, but
We're taking in this popular tradition, inscribing my soul on this historical scroll, just my 2 cents, hopefully it's well spent. See, I am legend and I will smith to be a fresh prince, not for the fame, but for the opportunity to help reprogram your brain, redirecting you to leave your mark on this map. You gotta be a shark feeding a taxi. That's what it takes to be a living legend. Authentic love and forgiving, that's a life worth living. Getting out of the underground, that's a hole worth digging. Gotta get up through in the world of the terrified, gotta be outdo. Soothing the soul, sprung on the surface, teaching the people to live on purpose. You're not worthless, but you can't afford to be a pansy in a world ruled by a Nancy. See, trickery is gonna threaten to rid you of your mental. Immortality, see. They want to hoard the world. They want to hoard the wisdom of the world in a pot for themselves. But I'm going to share my knowledge with all the boys and girls. It's going to make their blood boil. Change the landscapes and all their plans for you. But I'll take that blame because that's what they deserve for thinking they can. See, they tried to climb into heaven and remove the pegs, leaving us in the bush. No rags, so all we know is kush. Just trying to numb the pain. Got to release that dope in our veins. Hearts explode with emotion because the media controlling and holding you down. Bound by your neck, strangling the truth from the lips of those who cry out. So I'm gonna use my gift to shout the whispers of a nation, all just to inspire a generation. Free the land.
All right, thank that brother.
I need that hat too, brother. Okay, next, y'all know it was another shooting last night on Lakeview? Y'all know about that? And so this next young lady, this affected her family member, and she just want to give a brief testimony, right? Because you know when you give them testimonies, the devil gets scared, right? So she gonna talk about what happened and what her hope is. Antoinette Webb, y'all.
Yesterday, we had laid my aunt to rest, and we was at a repast, and we was at the repast, and at 10 o'clock, it was at least over 100-something people out there, and they just rode past the social crowd, whether they hit their victim or whoever they target or not. But my little cousin ended up getting shot in his head that had absolutely nothing to do with this. And the fact that we were out there to celebrate somebody's life and we almost lost one, this violence just has to stop. Like, it's too much. I mean, it was people out there from 0 years old to probably 70. And it was 28 shots fired. We had one person got injured. He survived. He got shot in his head, and he's still here. So, you know, it's just getting bad out here, and everybody that's out here is good. We here to promote peace, but it should be a way better outcome than this, because we all should want that. And that's just pretty much, you know, I mean, me and my daughter was 100 feet away from my cousin falling on the ground, and aunts and little baby cousins and everything. It was just, I've never been in a situation like that, and I won't wish that on nobody. That's pretty much it for my story.
And give her another round of applause. Young black professionals, Black Panthers, everybody, you want to stand up here real quick and get a picture? Because these young fire flamers, they got to go to Cincinnati, and they still got work to do in the city. So while we sitting here getting together, they got stuff to do, so we want to take a quick picture so they can get out here and go do what they got to do.
Come on, Spring. Come on, NAACP. Come on, Margot, where you at? Come on up here, girl.
Like your shirt, these for the people. Come on, Nico.
Hey, it's us or else, y'all.
Good?
Good?
All right, that's all our photo shoot for the day, I guess.
Photo shoot right in the middle.
Hey y'all, we still going though. We still got a couple more people to speak on the issue. Hey y'all, can I get y'all attention, please? I know all the hug and love is good, but we got a sister here that we need to back up and push and get her on the commission. She is truly for the people, and we trying to we want to back our sister up. So we need everybody to start getting on board. Hey, Dominique, you want to bring the sister up?
Okay.
appreciate it. Well, scratch that, the sister ain't here yet. Hey, but since everybody represent who they are, I am a member of the Nation of Islam.
Yeah.
And the Nation of Islam got to be represented here. So this next brother I'm gonna bring up, he gonna represent the Nation of Islam.
Yeah.
So welcome up my brother, Stephen Muhammad.
Yeah. Steve. Steve.
Assalamu alaikum. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I would like to greet you all once again in the greeting words of peace. We say them in the Arabic language of Assalamu alaikum, but in English that simply means peace be unto you. I want to thank the coordinators of this event for inviting me to say just a few words about peace in the community. I think one of the things that we have to first understand is what is peace and what brings about peace. When we think of what brings about peace, we have to recognize as a people, we're a spiritual people who have a physical form. But what brings about peace is when we are in accord with our nature. What brings about peace is when we are submitting our will to do the will of the Father. Yes, sir. What brings about chaos and destruction is when we go against our nature and when we go against the will, the law, and the commandments of God, right? Teach. So now let's look at violence. Violence is not necessarily a bad thing. But violence is a bad thing when you inflict harm on yourself. As a community, we have been violent, but we haven't been violent against that which threatens the community. We are the ones who are actually threatening the community. So we are violent against ourselves. So now, let us think. Let's look at the population here in Dayton. We have 60,000 black people here in Dayton. That's right. We're nearly half the population in Dayton. We're like over 40% of the population here in Dayton. 49. You have about 28% black men. You have about 32% black women. The median age of the population here in Dayton is around 30 to 40 years old. But when we think of all of this, when we look in our communities, where's the black hospitals? Where's the black schools that teach our children the knowledge of self? Right? So when we think about bringing peace about, we have to recognize as black people that we are brothers and sisters to each other. We might not, as some would say, we're not sisters and brothers from the same mother, but spiritually, God is our Father, and we are children, all of us, of the Most High God. So when you see the Muslims will come up on a brother, and we'll say, and you all always, we can't help it. Because when I see my brother, that is my brother, spiritually, you are my brother. When I see my sister, spiritually, you are my sister. So what fool, right, would harm his own family unless that individual was robbed of the knowledge of self? See, when we were brought here, we were robbed of our name, our language, our religion, our culture, and the knowledge of who we are. We were robbed of the knowledge of self, right? That's what you call an amnesia victim. Somebody who don't know who they are. But then you get a wicked individual who then inserts into the knowledge of who you are a nigga. That's what you are. You're a coon, you're a ham bone, you're a jigaboo, right? Then Your name is no longer Aziz or something beautiful and powerful. Your name is no longer Mustafa, the chosen, or Khadijah. Now your name is Toby. We're going to name you after the dog. Your name is Mr. Roundtree. You were here before the Roundtree. The black man and woman, we are the original people. We are the mothers and fathers of humanity. All people come from the black man and woman, and none of us come from them. We can create, or we can produce out of our seed anywhere from white all the way to triple black, right? So black that if they spit, they would spit ink. So we are the original people. But we were brought here by, I'm going to just put it this way, by the system, because we need to understand this, by the system of white supremacy. The system of white supremacy is diametrically opposed to the system of black supremacy. They don't want you and I to have power to do for ourselves. So in order to keep us from doing for ourselves, you gotta create a condition in the community where we're always fighting against each other. See, so how do you do that? We are growing up in what's called from the cradle to the grave. We are growing up when we enter life, we enter the public school system, and that they call the preschool to prison pipeline. Why are you going to jail? Because you sold a bag of marijuana. So under the system of white supremacy, you go to jail for white people in Colorado making millions of dollars selling marijuana. The pharmaceutical industry, they're a major drug dealer. So now the question is, because I only got a few minutes, I know, but the question is, how can we begin to bring a change about in our community? Because I know we're just talking about, some of us are thinking just about the young gangbangers. They're the last ones we should start with. There's gangbanging going on in churches. Gangbanging going on in classism against the rich black against the poor black. Gangbanging going on against the black man against the black woman. Gangbanging going on, we just crazy. And all this time, we got the power, if we just pull our resources, we can own the block. But right now, we just gotta get us in our right mind. And what we have to understand is that we're out of our right mind. Because if you don't have a culturally conscious mindset, you're not in your right mind. If you're thinking integration, you're not in your right mind.
Come on, brother.
You're not in your right mind. You're never going to integrate with the enemy. You're never going to integrate with somebody who by nature, they hate you. By nature, they don't, as the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said, they don't even want to see the shadow of you around. Why? Because your seed, black man and black woman, has the power, as Francis Cress Welsing said, to bring about genetic annihilation. So you see Trump in office. Trump in office is because deep-seated is this fear. And we got to understand this. This is not a joke. These people are out to kill us, and they contaminated the food. They have contaminated the water. If you read about these chemicals that are in the food, bisphenol A, and these phthalates that are in the food, in the water, in the plastic, BPA in the plastic. And do you know that because they have so contaminated the ocean that the plastics break down in the water, then the fish eat the plastics, and then you and I eat the fish? We're eating contaminated food. So we have to begin to separate ourselves, because this is a culture of death. It's not a culture that values the beauty of the creation of God. It's a culture that is, as they say, it's at war with nature. How do you at war with nature? How do you even say that? When you hear, I don't want to keep going on, but let me end us up with this. If we look at the Koreans, right, they come together and they have cornered like the hair market, right? It's unbelievable how much power they have in the black weed market, right? When we look at when we look at China, Chinese, anywhere you go within the country, they have what's called Chinatown. Chinese people getting down, right? You go over here, you're going to eat at a Chinese restaurant. You go over here, you're going to read the Chinese newspaper. The Chinese not dependent on some external force that hate them to tell them about what's going on in their community. It's all crazy. But it's all crazy because as black people, we don't want to face the reality of the situation in which we live. They done banned Minister Farrakhan. These devils are crazy. They done banned Minister Farrakhan from social media. Why? Because this society, the truth is against this society. And so they're shutting down anything that exposes the truth. So, our unity, as Malcolm said, my sister wearing Malcolm on her t-shirt, as Malcolm said, is more powerful than an atomic bomb. Are you, like these sisters, myself, going into some establishment with the name Muhammad? Ooh, they like, oh, one of those Muhammads. They see that Black Panther on there, they want to try to label the Black Panther a hate organization. But the Black Panther, the full name is the Black Panther for Self-Defense. Nobody's trying to go do no harm to no white people. We're not concerned about doing no harm. What we want is for you to stop doing harm to us, leave us alone, and let us do for ourselves. That's just the reality. So, come on, brothers and sisters, this is the ground root. And while we might be wanting to help out the young people, these young people are the Joshua generation. All they need is proper guidance. But where they gonna get it from? There is no mystery God. There's no puff of cloud, no puff of smoke that's gonna come down and take care of our children. But it's when we unite, come together, pool our resources, and we got a lot of resources because black people, we run the country. Our culture runs the country. You see these movies and the white people, they giving each other that, right? Remember they used to call it a terrorist bump when Obama was doing it with Michelle? Now they doing it in the movies. Now you hearing them say, chill, man. Golly gee. So we run the thing, but all we got to do is now begin to take control. So with that, I want to thank you all for listening for these few moments, and I'll turn it back over to my brother Tyrone. Assalamu alaikum.
Hey, that wasn't no hate speech the brother was doing. He was just telling the unadulterated truth. We don't believe in hate. We believe in peace and uniting. And that's why we're here. We're trying to unite our community against self-hatred and that violence stuff taking place. But we got to back each other up. And now, what I was trying to introduce before, the sister showed up. But we got a sister we need to push and put her on the commission seat. Because we need somebody, we need our own voice up in there. We need to back this sister up. So I want to bring the sister Shanice up to explain to you.
All right.
Come on, sister, we got to back our sister up, y'all. We got to back our sister up.
How's everyone doing? You came out in the rain. All right, it's good to see everyone. So as stated, my name is Shanice Turner-Sloss. And, you know, we've had a couple of things that have taken place over the last couple of weeks. So what I would like for you all to do is if you could please just take a minute and let's just take this time to reflect. And we're going to have a moment of silence for those that we've lost. that we've lost to the gun violence. Thank you. So I want to thank each of you for being out this afternoon. And even those who are not here, thank you for being on the ground every day doing the work. Doing the work and knowing the pulse of our community. Too often, we hear of the lives of black youth cut short due to gun violence. It's a tragedy that no family should have to experience. A parent should never have to bury their child. The Memorial Day weekend, it was the unofficial start of summer, right? And during that time, our community, we experienced a lot of trauma. Let's face it, that's exactly what we experienced. We confronted racism and hatred. We were hit but not hurt by the tornado. Within that same week, we witnessed a number of deaths in our community. Now these tragic events, they sparked a number of questions. And one question I have for myself, and this one question, I know that I was searching through and looking at a number of social media feeds, and everyone had the same question. How do we stop the gun violence in our community? What is the answer? But before we start floating with solutions, we really need to understand the root causes of the violence that we're seeing in our community. When you talk about gun violence, you have to talk about economics. You have to talk about the money, right?
That's right.
We're dealing with deep-seated issues in marginalized communities. There is a culture of violence. And when you see failing systems and structures, you see boarded up houses. You see boarded up buildings, lights, school deserts, failing school districts, unemployment, underemployment. The list goes on and on, right? We know our reality. We live it. We see it. But much of that violence is untreated trauma. Let's call it what it is. It's untreated trauma from cycles of poverty and neglect. Some of our young people, they're angry, they're mad, and they're fighting for survival. And the pain is causing for retaliation. And that's exactly what we're seeing. There is so much post-traumatic stress that it is woven into the fabric of many of our urban communities. So far too long, we accepted this shameful pain of suffering through depression and sadness. But again, how do we really truly stop the cycles of poverty and the cycles of gun violence? Is it education? Do we need more mentors? Do we need more funded programs? What can we do to change? What can we do to change the fate of our youth? One thing is clear. We need each and every one of you here today and those who are not able to attend. We need each and every one of you to stand up. The many people who are out here in the community are doing the work. Many of you are here today, and thank you for standing in the gap, making those sacrifices, investing your time, your resources, your energy. But you all need help too. And we have to be honest with each other. We have to understand and know that we got to take accountability and responsibility. We cannot ask for someone to value us if we don't value ourselves. That means we have to encourage our young people to operate in love. That means we have to encourage them to change their level of thinking, to learn how to cope, to deal with issues with the understanding that there are consequences. We need adequate funding to carry out our mission of removing these barriers so our youth can have a decent quality of life. We need more people in these paid positions and volunteers. We need to re-engage with our youth. We need our government to value our lives.
That's right.
And how do they do that? By improving the options to give to our youth so that they know that they can make better decisions and better choices on a daily basis. So there are some people who would say, city don't have nothing to do with that. Ain't nothing to do with that. I disagree. And I'm going to tell you why. We have to invest in these programs to prevent gun violence. City leaders, they have three choices. They can do nothing. The second option is, we give a little money. At least we say we tried. The third option is, we can take the lead on programming and resources and do the work.
That's right.
I'll tell you today, I choose number three.
That's right.
The third option.
That's right.
We're going to get out here and we're going to do the work together, collectively.
That's right.
We're going to work with our schools. We're going to work with our community partners. We're going to work with our clergy coalition members. We're going to work with our stakeholders and our businesses. And we're going to work with other municipalities. And we're going to unite against the gun violence. We're going to say, let's put these guns down. Listen, you all know we united against racism on the 26th, right? On the 25th, right? And then, after the storm, after the tornado, on the 28th, we came together. And so today we're all here to say enough is enough, and we have to stand together. And so we're going to work against poverty. We're going to work against systemic failing structures. And we are going to move our community forward one day at a time together. And we will stand strong because we are what?
Dayton strong.
Now we are what?
Dayton strong.
Okay? We are Dayton strong.
That's right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right?
All right.
Let's give our sister another applause. Hey y'all, we invited other city officials out here. They get press conferences about the Klan coming. They get press conferences and sound bites to make themselves look good. But they not addressing our issue. I mean, that's going on in our community. So we gotta back this sister up. We gotta get our own on the commission office. So remember Shanice Turner Slaw. Y'all remember that name. And we gonna push this sister. We gotta push this sister like we push anything else. You know what I'm saying? If she gonna help us, we gotta put our sister in that position. We don't need nobody sitting up there just patting each other on the back. We need somebody that's gonna do the work. And the sister say she gonna do the work, go ahead and push her forward so she can do the work. But I want to bring this one brother up here next. He just said he wanted to share a few words, but the brother don't want really no type of he don't want no type of glory or no honor. But I called this brother and told him what I wanted to do with Donald Dominique. And the brother got on it. He's like, y'all ain't got it done yet? And the brother just got right on it. Like we was at his house like in an hour. And this, you know, we put this little thing together. But I want to welcome Carlos Buford up here. Yeah. If you words, y'all give this brother a round of applause. This is another flamethrower that we got in the city of Dayton.
Superstar.
I appreciate Brother Tyrone. I appreciate all of you for being here. I'm standing before you. I do voter registrations here in Dayton, Ohio, and that's my main focus for what I do here in the community. And just make sure that you're registered to vote. Yes, we can sit here and be clapping for Shanice and everything, but if we're not registered to vote for her, that means nothing, okay? So please, if you're not registered to vote, go right over here. I got some forms over here, and I'll make sure that you're registered to vote before you leave. What I want my son to do, go ahead, come up here real quick, grab the sign. Also, I stand up here for Black Lives Matter Dayton. It's a new organization that just started about a month ago. And just to keep us connected as a community. Yes, we want to do some events around here. For example, we may want to do a protest. We might want to go vote for someone. We may want to go and stand behind a mother or a father who has just lost their lost their son or their daughter. I have a friend over here by the name of Sabrina Jordan. She's right over here in the red. Actually, she made a statement that when she lost her son, Jamarco, over in Moraine, she was really upset that the community did not come behind her. And I feel that as a community, we're supposed to stand behind every mother and father that loses their son or daughter behind police violence. To me, that's something we should always do. And I stand here on behalf of Sabrina to make sure that this organization, Black Lives Matter Dayton, that any a mother or father that loses a son or daughter behind police violence, that we as a community and all the organizations will stand behind them when they have their first vigil. So I make that vow today. So in order for us to make sure that we stay connected, get your cell phones out real quick. Get all your cell phones out real quick. Text Black Lives to 484848. And that will keep you connected to the Black Lives Matter Dayton Facebook page, as well as the list, the phone list. So when we need you to do something, we can just send you out a text, and you'll know where to meet us at. For example, if we were supposed to come here, you would get a text and say, hey, meet up at McIntosh Park. You'll get a text instantly, and you will know that we are doing some event or whatever. But make sure you get your phones and type in Black Lives to 484848. Again, my name is Carlos Buford. I appreciate you all, and thanks a lot again, Tyrone.
Give it up for Carlos, y'all. All right, next, we got actually 2 Black Lives Matter organizations in this area, and the more the merrier, right? Because we need all the help we can get. So right now, I want to introduce my sister that's over Black Lives Matter Miami Valley. A powerful young sister. So come on up, Yolanda, and just say a few words to the people.
Okay, so let me explain to you that Donald just called me up here to not say that I would be speaking. So I am not prepared. However, what I will say is that shame on us. Shame on us that McIntosh Park is not full with people who are fighting against violence in our community. Shame, shame, shame on us that we are not doing everything in our power to get Shanice Turner-Sloss elected to the city commissioner. Shame on us that we didn't come in droves to support Jordan and whoever the family members were who just lost their son, their daughter, their cousin, their brother, their uncle. Shame on us. We are a community that is historically bred to be unified and in solidarity. Shame on us that we are not paying homage to our ancestors who are all about solidarity and unity. Shame on us that we are not showing the Martin Luther Kings of the world that we can do better. Shame on us that we are not showing the Rosa Parks of the world that we can do better. And guess what? We can do better. Every one of us can do better. We should not have violence in our community because we are a community that is resilient and brilliant and strong. Shame on us that we are doing everything in our power to make sure these young men have opportunities that we did not have. Shame on us that we did not come out to support Donald Dominic, Tyrone Martin, and whoever else wants us to rally and to march and to protest and to vote. Shame on us. Now, this is our responsibility. As individuals, we have to make sure that we don't walk away from this
post the pictures on Facebook, tell everybody that we showed up, and do nothing. It is absolutely imperative that we take this community. If this is all we got to work with, then this is who we work with. If these are only the people who are going to show up, then we make sure we get each and every one of their names and put them to work. That's right. Come on. It is our responsibility to make sure that all of the little kids who are in high school and grade school, all of the little kids who want to become doctors and lawyers and athletes, it is our responsibility to make sure that they live in a community where they can live and be resilient and they can get prosperity and success. It starts here, it stops with us. Shame on us if we don't do it. Thank you.
Go ahead on, girl. You know you practice that speech.
Girl, you practice that here.
Hey, okay, so we about at the end, but we want to make sure everybody gets to speak. So right now, I want to bring up Jamaica Garrison from Neighborhoods Over Politics.
Hello everyone, my name is Jamaica. I'm not going to add any more to the walk of shame because we have that burden, so we know hopefully it's time to step up. As Dominique said, I'm with Neighborhoods Over Politics. We started this organization, Joelle Thomas Jones, Shanice Turner Sloth, and myself, because we were tired of how our neighborhoods look. I'm born and raised in Dayton, graduated from Dayton Public Schools, and I remember a time where we had community centers. I had a cousin who boxed at Roosevelt, female cousin, let me add that, who boxed at Roosevelt. We had things for us to do in the community. And unfortunately, back to the shame, we let Westwood Center close, we let them destroy Roosevelt, we let them take away so much out of our community, and we didn't say a word, and we wonder why our children are now looking for things to do after school, and parents are working 2 and 3 jobs because we sat back and we allowed those resources to be taken and uprooted from our community. So when we talk about being collective, we talk about having our own things, you have to understand that it has to be a collaborative effort with residents, local government, as well as businesses, and we have to hold people accountable to have benefit agreements in our areas to make sure certain things continue and that they thrive. We can't do it by ourselves. I was reading up and I shared a story on my Facebook page about a gentleman, an ex-gang member in Compton, who raised $500,000 to redevelop his community, and guess who stopped him? Local government.
That's right.
City commissioners
Right.
stopped it and did not allow that man to use that money to develop. So we can raise all the money we want to. We can open up and go after all the businesses we want to. But if you don't have a partner who is in the city commission that is saying, oh yes, we want to allow that, because they still have to allow it. They still have to put their blessings on those properties. They still have to make sure the zoning is in structure. We can't do that.
That's right.
So if you don't have those partnerships, then we still are at a standstill.
That's right.
So on September the 28th, everybody say September 28th. We will have our 3rd annual Rock the Boat Rally down at Sinclair Community College, where we will have an opportunity to hear some of these local representatives really talk to you about what they stand for. You heard Shanice Turner Sloth. She stands for the people, and not just in word, but in action.
Right.
And of course, as a representative from NOP, I'm not putting out any endorsements. But my point is that you've seen her, and she does not have to do this. Her family does not have to be here.
That's right.
They could uproot themselves like a lot of our other African Americans have done, unfortunately,
Right.
and move to better places to get away from the mess that we're dealing with in our community. But she's here, and she's solid.
That's right.
I mean, solid.
Solid.
So we have to make sure that we put our money, we put our service, we put our time where our mouth is. It doesn't require money all the time. Sometimes it's just boots on the ground spreading the word and letting people know about that. So I mean,